Good evening, folks. How are you? If you could do me a solid and let me know that you can hear me, I'm going to check the purple pill in the lower right-hand corner if you're looking at your phone. If you can hear me, just give me a 5x5. Thank you, Rex. Just want to see a few more just to make sure. Thank you, Tyler, Robert, Steve, D. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. It's been a while since I did a solo show, huh? So, obviously it's Saturday. You know, there's nothing really going on market-wise, but I just wrapped up a video review for Friday's session, and I answered a couple questions that obviously won't seem like it's important to you if you've been around me for a while, but I have to include them sometimes because, like today, you know, Joker comes out and makes a video, which is fun. I love it. You know, that's how I got where I'm at. I got 2 million subscribers because people talked about me. So I want you to think about the slide I tweeted. I shared it in 2016 in paid mentorship, and it's the 4 phases of the marketplace and how price is delivered and booked. And I want you to think about how that correlates with sessions and day-to-day trading, from one daily profile to the next. Whatever the previous session was, how was it in those 4 phases? And then also how to anticipate when you're going to be likely to see a problem condition, because you want to be successful. Everybody wants to be successful when they're reading price action. Eventually, when you get to the conclusion in your own hands that you're successful following some kind of methodology, whether it be mine or somebody else's, doesn't make a difference. When you get to that point where you feel confident enough to then risk your own money, you still want success. You want it all the more. But there's seasons to success, much like there's 4 seasons in the calendar year. We're thankfully ending the summertime. I can't stand the summer, to be honest with you. I'm looking forward to the fall and then the cold months. And the girls are letting you know it's coming in the door. Hold on one second here. So much in the same way we have 4 seasons. Usually when people start off with proper training, they go through the school of hard knocks and figure out what model they want to trade, how they want to trade, what kind of trader they're going to be. And then it's almost like the red hot summer attitude. They want to go out and have a lot of fun, you know, do everything, let's effing go. You know, it's all about getting out there and making a scene, you know, having fun, chasing that wave, all that type of stuff. And then you come to find out that the experience you thought you gained wasn't sufficient enough. And you enter the fall months where that money tree starts to see the leaves fall off of it. Autumn's coming. And that's normal. That's a season of success. Everybody goes through that. But you don't want to see it like you do in the fall, where you look at the pretty leaves changing color. It's fun. It's beautiful. We went to Maine and saw Acadia National Park, and it was beautiful last year, and I'm looking forward to going back again. But when you see the leaves fall off your money tree in your account in the early stages of your development with real money trading, that's not always looked upon as, wow, this is a beautiful experience. I'm glad I'm able to see this. You don't want it to happen. You want to see spring. You want to see the vibrant regrowth of your equity. And unfortunately, most people that start trading with live funds, real money, in other words, they forget there's a winter coming, and they don't prepare for the things they experienced in the fall where the leaves were falling off that money tree. They don't learn from those mistakes. They don't learn that they are making character flaws. They're manifesting themselves in their behavior as a trader. They're making reoccurring, well, poor decisions, let's say it that way. Not following rules that they outlined in the beginning that they would follow. This is what my model is, and I'm only going to trade when it does these things. If it does anything outside these parameters, I'm not going to take a trade. But there you are. There you are on a Friday trying to do something that your model doesn't call for. You want to experience the joy of the holidays, and it feels like Christmas. I'm making all this money. That's what you want. That's what you got into trading for. You want to make your family happy. You want to be the Santa Claus of your own household. And that's admirable. There's nothing wrong with that. But the reality is, most people are met with a long, cold winter. And they don't learn from their mistakes that they made initially, right out the gate. They thought that summer trading is going to be hot. Miami heat. It's going to be awesome. Pretty girls, handsome young men, fancy cars, and fine dining. Somehow it doesn't work out that way, does it? Not for most. For some, sure it does. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen. But for the majority, it doesn't happen that way. And then, for those that can survive, the ones that learned by the mistakes they made through their initial soiree into the marketplace, where they go out in summertime and they're at the rave of price action. The thunderous beat of price action moving around, the volatility. It's exciting. It's great. I want to go out there and chase the vibe. And then fall comes. And then your equity falls. And that passion for wanting to get into this falls into a long, cold December and January and February, where you second guess everything. Why did I even do this stuff? My family and friends were right about me. I shouldn't have been doing these things. Where you doubt everything that got you excited initially. You're just simply not looking at it properly because you went out of spec. And that's a season in success. People that come out of any industry and found success, when they're honest, they'll tell you. They'll tell you the seasons they went through. And I like listening to the ones that are honest and say, look, you know what? I went through some deserts. I spent a whole lot of time down in the valleys. And I wanted to be on that mountain peak. I wanted to see sights that nobody else got to see. Make the kind of money nobody else really makes. Have the consistency that nobody else has ever heard of. The accuracy, the precision, all those things. I wanted all that stuff. And I had to learn over time that doesn't happen right away. And for the folks that learned from their mistakes, they dial down the leverage. They lower their expectations. They don't put a timeline on success. I got to be successful by this time. I got to make this much money by this time. I got to be able to quit my job by this date, by this year, or my friends and family will think I'm a failure. If everything you're doing in regards to learning how to trade, how to use sound analysis concepts, to learn first to be a great analyst, how much time have you spent there? Because that's the requirement. You have to be a good analyst. The folks that make a lot of money fast, I'm not impressed by. I'm not impressed by that. Those types of things can happen. But longevity, the ability to find success and live there in all seasons in the sun. It's an old song if you haven't heard it. It's actually a classic. It just came to mind. I'm going to listen to it when this is done. And for the folks that are saying, where's the video at? You said you were putting up a video. It's done. When I'm done jawboning, and I'm not going to talk long tonight, I promise. I promise you it's not one of those little trick things where I go for a long, long time. When this is done, I'll post a link and you'll be able to watch the video. The video is about 30 minutes long. But for the folks that are able to learn from their mistakes early on, they get to experience spring. Springtime, where your equity comes back to life. New growth comes. Dead things become alive. Trees become bearing fruit. And since all of us are trying to cultivate and nurture and fertilize our own money tree, in the springtime, we're looking for that to happen. And it just so happens that that's one of the key times of the year where trading really is robust. Spring. But you should learn that the summer that you started with is coming again. Are you going to make those same mistakes? Are you going to get passionate about, I don't want to listen to these guys that say don't trade in the summer doldrums. Don't try to trade every single day in the summer. Don't try to do those things. These guys are fools. Look what I just did today. And you feel good. You beat your chest. You feel like you can conquer anything. And you even feel so strong you want to talk about other people and talk down to those people. And then you get smacked upside the head with reality. And you go through it. They're humbling. They're humbling moments. Everybody goes through them. That's a season or part of the road to success. If you got into this thinking that it's just going to be, one-way street, this is easy. No traffic in front of you. No tolls to pay. No inclement weather. No potholes. Everything's going to be fine. No bugs hitting your windshield. It's easy. Roll the top down, baby. It's going to be fine the whole way. If you thought that, you probably have had a rude awakening by now. When you go through those experiences, there's minor setbacks because that's all that it is. You can't say that I blew an account. I can't afford this. Well, you shouldn't have been trading. There's your answer right there. You got to be able to afford doing this. If you can't afford it, then you're not a trader. You're a hope and a pray. You're a gambler. You're a lottery trader. You're a scratch-off trader. You're hoping that if you do something, the equivalent of taking a quarter and scratching off this little film on top of a piece of paper, I hope I win. If I don't, I'll still play, but I hope I win. That's a gambler. That's a lottery mentality. And you would be wise to study the people that are very open-mouthed on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. If you look at TikTok, if you look at Instagram, if you look at YouTube, all the social medias, you can pick up on who is the bullshit artists. You can pick it up. These are individuals that don't learn. They don't learn from their mistakes. They keep masking them. They keep hiding them behind personas. The worst thing you can do is try to emulate me or anyone else. And in success, we usually try to latch on to someone we have respect for. And that's admirable. I get it. I had I still do actually have a tremendous amount of respect for Larry Williams. I just think his analysis concepts, I've outgrown them. And that's not a knock against him. It's not a knock against anyone else. You have to find something that makes sense to you. And that's a season in success. And it might mean painful pruning of people that you looked up as his heroes and say, I'm thankful for the time I had to spend with you. I learned from you. I took some insight from you. I grew as a person and as an analyst and as a trader. But my time with you now has come to an end. And I still hold respect for you. I just can't subscribe to your views anymore. I can't remain tethered to you. That's a season in success. And all of you should want that with me. Staying tethered to me, always trying to get something from me, when you should be more excited about the discoveries you're finding in your own hands with the things I've taught you. That's the goal. It's not the constant, continuous interactions between us, which is fun. I get it. It's fun. But it's really winding down. If you're not preparing for a time when there is no ICT, where there's no engagement on a day-by-day basis, when the videos just stop coming, you're going to require your own motivation, your own stimulation to stay motivated to do this. In the next 2 years, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more millionaires. There's a whole lot more that you don't see. They don't care. They don't care what other people think. They don't care to tell other people they've made it. They've made it. They don't care. These people aren't going to spend their money. And I would like to know, if all of you that are listening to this, and even if you're watching it or listening to it as a recording later on, tomorrow or down the road, I would love to see a tweet directly to me. If you hit 7 figures, where you're not a 7-figure trader because you're trading prop firm leverage of 7 figures, that's not a 7-figure trader to me. 7 figures is you got 7 figures in your account that you can take out in cash. That's a 7-figure trader. And it's no knock against my students who like to use that term. Okay, but let's be real, okay, because you're not a 7-figure trader. And everyone outside of our community the same way. But it looks good, doesn't it? That's a season in success. You want to portray it stronger than your hand actually holds. You want to act like you have the high hand. The royal straight flush in spades, baby. Can't beat it. Can't beat it. That's a season in success. In the old tongue, in the old country, they used to call that fake it till you make it. Well, when you're journaling, you have to do those types of things. You have to encourage yourself. You got to tell yourself that you saw that as it was, because what you're doing is you're conditioning your mindset. You're opening up the dialogue with that same language, and you're convincing your subconscious, because that's the part of you that's going to say you can't do it. But you won't hear it until you're about to press the button, or it'll start talking to you as soon as you have the first trade go against you, or the first idea in tape reading, or the first demo trade, or the analysis concept doesn't even pan out at all. Your subconscious, the part of you that wrecks you all the time, the self-defeating side of you, who you have to overcome, subdue, wrestle into submission, and tell that part of you to shut up. You have no reason to be talking right now. You don't have any experience doing this, so why are you going to talk to me? So yes, you have to have a divided mind in the beginning. That's normal, but you wrestle that part of you that holds you back. That's a season in success. Someone that has not subdued their subconscious, their self-defeating intrusive thoughts. If you haven't wrestled that, you can go through a season of plenty, making lots of money, and feeling like you did well. And on the outside, and monetarily, you probably have done well. But the seasons are coming to an end, and another one's going to start. And all that good stuff that grew in the summer warm months is going to wither up on the vine. And if you don't know how to harvest it, it's going to lay out in the field and rot. You have to know what it is you're doing, when you're going to do it, and why you're going to do it. If you have no expectation for drawdown, when it happens, it's the end of the world. First time you have a loss, it feels like I should have never done this, because the pain of doing it wrong and then the uncertainty, which is harder than the hard right edge of that chart where you don't know what it's going to do next. You forgot that part of the mystery. Now it's all about you. Am I going to be able to do this? Am I really ready to do this? Do I really want to risk more money? I just lost whatever amount of money it is that you just lost on. You feel like your whole entire reason for living has been stolen from you. Why? Because you championed the idea to your friends and family. You talked the game up. You built yourself up. You put yourself up on that pedestal when you haven't even climbed there yet. And we're all sitting around looking at you, waiting to see it happen. You got to keep your mouth shut in the beginning. That's a season in success. See, there's talkers. There's people who say, I'm going to do this, 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 and then nothing. Then there's people that stay quiet. They don't tell their business to other people. So that means they're never going to have to wrestle with the idea of what would they think about me if they knew. They don't have to know anything about you. Your friends and family are not owed the information about you participating in this. It's simple. They don't need to know that. While you're doing this without money, you're learning how to do it as an analyst. Your spouse doesn't need to know this. And that's not going behind their back. That's not deception. That's not anything. Because you're not risking your co-equal, co-ownership of your family funds. You can say, well, my money's my money. No, it's not. That's another topic for another day. But while you're learning, you're quiet. All your observations are recorded into your journal. And you do it on a positive basis. You never criticize yourself. You just highlight opportunities for this was something I wasn't expecting, and I'm thankful it happened today, because now I have an opportunity to go in and study this so that way I can benefit from that where it didn't hurt me, and I'll be better in the future because of it. See how much stronger that is than versus this is such a crappy day. Everything I did was wrong. This stuff doesn't work in my hands. I hate myself and I hate this whole thing. I wish I never would have got started. Maybe you didn't write those things, but that's just your thinking. Give me a 1 in the comment section if that's ever come across you. And that's not self-defeating thoughts now. It's just you being honest. And it'll encourage the other people that are saying, I would never put a number 1 out there because I don't want people looking at me and laughing. I did those things. I did those things a lot. The fact that you're your hardest critic, the fact that you are the most hard, one-way perspective of yourself than anybody else could ever be, that's actually a strength. But in our uprising, when we're learning to be an adult, no one sits us down and helps us channel that direction as a positive thing, to use it as a strength. We're not really taught management of emotions, anger management, loss management, depression. Everybody has suffered depression. You can find the happiest people out there. Look at Robin Williams. As a child, I grew up watching him. Mork and Mindy. I got a little bit older. I snuck and watched his stand-up comedy stuff. Laughed my rear end off. Funny guy. I was alive during the Saturday Night Live bits where he was doing things there. It's a moment in time where I thought he was the happiest person in the world. But in the end, he wasn't. But he still was smiling. And he asked for our acceptance of his apology while he was quietly saying goodbye. Behind smiles, behind jokes, because that was his mask. In trading, you're going to wear a mask. The difference is, what's the mask for? Is the mask hiding what you're suffering through by your own hands, and you're hiding it from your loved ones for fear of embarrassment? You're hiding it from your relatives, your coworkers, so they don't laugh at you and say, see, I told you you'd be here with us too. It's okay to wear a mask when it comes to your subconscious. Your subconscious has to be tricked. It has to be fooled into thinking it isn't right now. It has to be given no reason to rise up and say, see, I told you so. And when you're journaling something and you're never using negative language, you're not giving a reason for that subconscious to rise up and say, I told you so. Because it's sitting there all the time waiting, all the time. The intrusive thought's going to spring on you like a leopard. Boom. I told you. Here we are. You put us in a real pickle now, and you believed all this stuff was going to work? What a fool you are. Think about that. But when you give no ammunition, no energy, no room in your thoughts, your words, and actions, and your logging of your experiences in your journal, you're empowering yourself. You're wearing a mask that nobody knows you're wearing. Outwardly, nobody sees it. But you're hiding yourself while you're developing from your intrusive thoughts that are going to rise up by your subconscious. And this is a season in success. Everybody that's successful, everyone that ever made it, had to wrestle the doubts. They had to wrestle through the second thoughts or second guessing. Is this really for me? If it's really for you, minor setbacks in the beginning are not going to change your mind. Losing an account isn't going to change your mind. If you're honest, you're going to do some self-reflection and say, you know what? A lot of people have gone through this and did well because they refined what it was they were doing and they corrected the mistakes they were making. And if you're honest, you do those things, keep working towards it, you'll make strides in overcoming it. I can't give you a timeline. Nobody can give you a timeline when that would happen because now you have scar tissue. You did something wrong. You lost. That's part of the whole process. It is in and of itself a season in success. And you will see that season come again. That's losing money. That's drawdown. The mechanism that you have control over is how far can you allow that to happen without blowing the account. See, in the beginning, well, I'm going to find out what happens. Over leverage, see what happens. I can't stand it. I'm excited. I know my model says this, but look at this market right now. Wow. You're like a kid in the candy store. Impulsive. You get your cheeks clapped. Your wig split. Now you're broke. Now, most people at that moment say, forget this stuff. I'm not trading anymore. I'm not doing it anymore. They learned their lesson. They got burned. But they don't reflect on the fact that they didn't even do what they were supposed to do with their model. They don't even recognize the fact that their character flaws are the real issue. It's not the model. It's not the approach to trading. It's the fact that they haven't fixed the problems within themselves. They were just shown they have a problem within themselves. But they don't recognize that. They don't have any initiative behind seeing that happen and say, you know what? This revealed something to me. I didn't follow my rules. I acted impulsively. I got excited. These are all things that a trader's not supposed to do. If you listen to anyone that's making money and knows how to mentor, they'll tell you those things are supposed to be shunned. You should not be emotional about the trading. You should be indifferent to it. You should be rule-based. You should not be lulled into trading because you saw something on a chart that you weren't looking for. It's outside of your model, outside the spec. Oh, it looks like it's going to go up. Let me jump in there. Well, how's that relate to your model? Well, it doesn't, but I feel like I got a hunch. Well, you're going to hunch now like you got kicked in the balls. You're hunched over. The bottom line is you can't be making mistakes continuously and expect success. There's a time for planting and a time for harvesting and a time for reaping. It comes by good authority. We can't expect to plant in the wintertime and yield a bumper crop. So why would you put brand new seed in ground that's cold, hard, not fertile? That's a time when you're in drawdown. You have to hold on to the seed, hold on to that risk, and reduce it. And that may mean sitting still. What? Yeah, it means not touching the market for a week or two, maybe a month. What? Come on, man. We're supposed to be trading every Monday. If you're not trading every Monday, you're not a real trader, bro. ICT says don't trade on Mondays. Sometimes it's good not to be trading, even if the market's moving around. Because if you're not equipped and you're not thinking clearly, you're out of sorts, discombobulated, you're not in sync. And your model will not be properly followed because now you're wrestling with, I got to get it back. I got to get it back. And for the folks that come out and they're honest and they say, I had a losing day today. Sometimes they wear it like it's a badge of virtue signaling. Oh, wow, look at your transparency. Wow, it's commendable. Other times it's genuine. I think I have a genuine good character judgment of people. I've had it for a long time, even as a kid. And when I see it, I'll recognize it. But there's a lot of folks out there that just do it because they think it's going to win people in clout. It doesn't mean that they know what they're doing. It doesn't mean they're going to resolve that issue that caused it. It just means that that's how they deflected it. And they swept it under the rug instead of attacking the problem. Because it's not always just your model not working. Many times your model's there, but you didn't operate correctly. And that is also a season in success. Thinking you have it together, thinking, oh, I'm good, I got a model. But then you're going to try to do things before your model speaks. I mean, you think it's going to go up. You think it's a good time to be buying this session-wise. You think it's going to go up for those relative equal highs. And your model says that you should be trading an inversion fair value gap or a bullish breaker or something to that effect. It's been graded, so that way you're not trying to trade every potential fair value gap. Oh, man. Isn't it funny now when you see these people come forward and say, look, ICT's losing money because he's trading all these different fair value gaps. We know exactly which ones we're looking for and why other ones aren't so important. But isn't that fun that now you've spent enough time with me, you've seen these things. By contrast, when you listen to people outside our community that don't know what's going on, they have no idea how we interpret price. They have zero understanding of it. But on the outside, you can still see it the way they see it because it's like, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't these traders trade on that fair value gap? Because it looks like there's 3 candles there and there's a gap there. But that's not the one we're taking. It has to be graded out on a dealing range. It has to be at the right time. It's progress. That is a season in success. Some of my students were very vocal last week and admitted openly that they had hardships. It was very difficult for them. Other traders did it right in front of you. And as a teacher, it frustrates me. It frustrates me when I know I've given out things that are very preventative by nature. I have lots of things that can help you make money. Lots of things. I have very intricate things that are very precise, very, very precise. I have things that tells you to do nothing right now. I could write a book with, 20 chapters of things to tell you when not to do something. When Not to Trade by Michael J. Huddleston. Nobody's buying that book. But that's the book everybody should read. That's the first book that everybody should read. You know what that book's written? On my YouTube channel. In these spaces. I have an encyclopedia set of volumes of me telling you why certain things should mean that you shouldn't do anything. Because not taking a position is the purest form of self-control and profitability. What? Yeah. The other side of profitability is holding on to what you have. It's not always, I got to have more than what I had yesterday. I have to have more of my equity than I had the last trade. You think that's the only part of being consistently profitable. Consistently profitable is saying, I could take that trade. It looks like it's going to be there. I have internal conflicts right now because I feel like I want to trade more when I've already hit my target for the week. And while I wasn't expecting such a gangbusters delivery today, what I was expecting for the entire week to be delivered over several days has come into my hands today. And it's only Monday. Well, your model says when you hit that target, be done. Enjoy the state of being in bliss without putting on more risk. You know how hard that is? You know how hard that is? It's easier to pull a pork chop out of a pit bull's mouth than do something like that. Because as a trader, what are we doing? We're hanging out with everybody else. We're looking at what they're doing. Oh, how much money did they make today? Oh, that's all he made today? That's all she did today? You call yourself a trader? You made how many thousands of dollars and that's all you've done? Girl, please. So where you turn? You go right to the social media. That's a season in success. I did a lot of that on America Online. I wrestled with myself while I was on America Online. I have mastered myself. A lot of you people that come and listen to me, you've heard varying degrees of ICT. You've heard the emotional ICT. You've heard the loud, braggart, boisterous, beat my chest, swearing up and down. You've heard that side of me. You've heard the mild-mannered Dr. Jekyll. And sometimes I'll pull out Mr. Hyde. All of those are masks. What I use to pace the conversation to keep you engaged, that's all part of storytelling. That's all it is. And when I do things like that, it helps you feel engaged to me. It means that I can pull on your heartstrings. I can tap into your intellect. I can tug on your common sense. And that's all part of being a good teacher. I had to study to be a good teacher. No one taught me how to do this. The Holy Spirit, I believe, empowers me to do it. But beyond that, I studied to be a teacher in martial arts, in other things I'm not going to talk about on the internet. But I've always been in some degree of a teacher by capacity. And that's a season in success. Some of you may not ever want to teach. You just want to make a lot of money and just do whatever you want to do until that becomes boring. And, or like it was for me, everybody else was working. Like everybody else was working. And all of my friends and my family had opportunity to do what it was I was doing. And you want to help everybody. That's a season in success. Everybody goes through that. Once you start making money, you do well. You want all your friends to have that splash over experience. Say, hey, look, you're my friend. I love you. I want you to have this experience too. But what happens is, what they hear is, I have lots of money I'm going to give to you for nothing. You don't have to do anything. And then when you don't do those things, but you're willing to give them all of your time, all of your attention, even on weekends, to show them how to do it, No, 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 bro, I'm not interested in that. But you're a jerk because you don't give me any money. That's a season in success. When you find yourself in a position where you can become a trader that then can teach, you're going to meet people that say, you should do it this way, or I don't believe you. You should do this, or you're not a real trader. If you don't show me your financial documents that no one is obligated to give, ever, unless you do that, unless you give me your social security number and show me your credit score, show me how many bank accounts you have and what you've been doing with your money, show me how you're doing that, then I'm not interested. I'm not interested in talking to people like that. Because if you can't recognize what we're doing, here's where the price is going to go. Watch this right here. Is this level noted on your chart? Simple little nudges like that. Nothing extra each week. Have you noticed that? That's experience. That's a season in success. Mastering your decisions. Knowing when you're going to do something and when you're not going to do something. That's the highest degree of a trader you could ever reach. Think about that. You know when you are not going to do something no matter what. There's plenty of times I take myself and excuse myself away from the marketplace and you all come back and you say, dude, how did you? It's experience. It's experience. I don't have to say anything. I just have to conduct myself as the teacher. Watch what I'm doing. Watch how I'm doing it. And pay attention when I'm not doing it. And then go back and listen to these long, boring conversations. When you listen to these long, boring conversations, I'm giving you the details as to what leads to me making these decisions about doing nothing, sitting still, abstaining from risk. When the market acts like a dirty hooker, you got to take her word on the fact that she's a dirty hooker. And you can't lay down with it. You can't touch it. You don't want an STD. We're not traders that want one-night stands of success. Ooh, yeah, I got lucky tonight. No, 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 no. We're looking for a marriage with success. We're putting a ring on the hand of success. Okay? We're not out here just trying to wine and dine. We're out here trying to build a legacy, a family tree of success. And one night stand logic is what you see that permeates in this industry. Get fast money. Get quick payouts. We guarantee that we're going to get you a payout in the first week or first month, or you don't pay until we do. Like, seriously? Like, if these people could trade very well, they would not be panhandling and begging for your money. They wouldn't be selling anything. If they were so good at trading where they had an unlimited blank check every Monday when the markets open up, they wouldn't be selling anything. And when you start recognizing that, that's a season in success. When you look around and you see all these people, they don't know what they claim to know. They don't know what it is they tell you they know. It's a marketing ploy. Because the people that know how to make money, hello, aren't asking for anything. They're not selling anything. They literally stay out here and just do it for free. There's nothing coming to me by money. I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna ask. I could have did this as a video. You're all gonna do this and put it on your YouTube channel and make money off of it. I'm not. I already know. Okay. I already know I'm making six figures before Wednesday. I already know this. But where are you in that thought process? Where are you when it comes to knowing what you're capable of doing, when you're going to do something, when you're not going to do something? If you're not thinking like that, you need to start thinking that way. Plan around the observations of the economic calendar, what the market's doing, the season of the year. We're coming out of the summer months, folks. We're going into the fall, where people have high aspirations for the market behaving a certain way. Usually it comes down into a discount. It's reasonable to anticipate that. And we're seeing signs of that. I point your attention to very specific key levels, very specific PD arrays. How far off on the weekly high and the daily high are they? It's pretty wild, isn't it? That's not my best stuff. That's just the casual here. Let me get all of you as close as you possibly can with limited understanding. And I'm not trying to be degrading when I say that, because there's a lot of new people coming here. A lot of new folks come here and, well, they're intimidated. Maybe they're asking me questions and I don't answer them because I have so many people asking questions on X. I can't, if I answered everybody's post that made a post to me, I would live on X. I know you think I do, but I don't. I would never get anything done. Just like emails. I don't even look at the email box anymore. I dread it. I got to go in here and ask these prop firms that use ICT as a code if they sent out their St. Jude stuff. Only one prop firm has came forward and said they have, and some of the other ones haven't reached out to me and told me anything yet. So I'm going to have to put them on blast on X and ask them point blank, did they take care of that? Wouldn't look good if they didn't do that. Eventually, when you get good at this, you're going to want to be an influencer, even if you don't want to be in the beginning, because life gets boring, like it did for me. Like all of my friends, all my family members, they were still working. Here I am. I'm 20 years old. I'm looking around. I got more money than I could ever think of, and I can do it anytime I want. And everybody else is working. And sometimes I would tell my friends, look, call out and I'll give you a whole week's paycheck just to, let's just go somewhere. Let's do something. Let's go down to Ocean City. That's when Ocean City was cool. Let's go do something, Let's go shopping. I'll buy whatever I buy. You can get it too. I just wanted to get out of the boredom. That is a season in success. Boredom will get you in trouble. Boredom will cause you to do things that decision making that causes you to act on boredom will cause loss. It will cause heartache. It'll give you children that you didn't plan for. Let's say it that way. My oldest son was one of those decisions. I was bored, and there you go. Now I have an oldest son. Okay, and now he's made me a grandfather. I love him to death, but honesty is honesty. I didn't plan for him to be here. He just happened as a result of me making a boredom decision. And I didn't do sound money management there. And I had to do certain things in my life to safeguard these things. And none of that's your fucking business, frankly. But I show that and I talk about it because that's a reality. That is a reality. And I'm teaching it because I went through it. And some of you young men and women are with people that you shouldn't be with. You have warning signs. And maybe you're thinking that you're going to build this wonderful home with lots of money because of what you're doing. And they're quietly watching. If they do see you succeed, they're going to hurt you for it. And I mentioned a couple weeks back, a couple came to me as paid mentorship students. They came to me. They were learning how to do this stuff. They did very, very, very well. And the husband said, all right, I got to go. I got a thing for hot girls, and I'm not interested in you anymore. Goodbye. Just like that. And took everything. That is not what they learned from me. They didn't learn that from me. And it hurt. And I'm going through that season as a teacher where I've empowered someone and they took that power and used it for harm. And as much as the young lady tries to tell me in her letters to me, she doesn't blame me. In my mind, I believe she does. Because I'm sure she could probably look back to a time when they were not trading and they loved each other. They believed they loved each other. They were content with who they were with. But when money comes in, and it comes in like a flood, somebody drowns. You don't see it coming. Maybe that young man didn't see it like that in the beginning. He was like, well, I got who I got. I'm happy with her. But when you start making a lot of money and you can go buy stuff and floss and go out there in front like, oh yeah, I'm the best thing in the world right now. Dress in the finest drip. And other women start giving you attention. A weak man will act on that. And ladies, you're no exception. Same thing. And while I haven't had any ladies do that same thing, I have had now two male students that were married, and the couple went into this as a married unit all the time, mailing me, not emailing me, mailing me postcards. This is where we're at now. Thank you so much. This was never going to happen unless we learned how to do this, and we have you to thank. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. But then they didn't stay together. And what was the divider? The money. It wasn't because they didn't have enough money. It's because one of them got greedy and said, I don't want to share it with you anymore. And took it all. Literally drained the bank accounts. Both men did the same thing. Both of them. And I've seen photos of these people, and the women, and I can say this in front of my wife, these women were attractive. I don't get it. Money's easy to make. But if you have a woman that's going to be with you, and they were with you when you were a dog, you didn't have anything. You didn't have no bark. You had a short leash. And now because you're off the leash and you think you can do anything you want to do, she isn't good enough. You're a fool. Because if you find a spouse that you can trust and love and they build together with you, what do you think you're going to find leaving that when all you're doing is broadcasting that you have a whole lot to take? Because in this world right now, everybody wants to take. Everybody wants to take. And so many of you are so in a hurry to floss how much you got, how much you make. The only thing you're doing is putting yourself out there with a bullseye saying, okay, how can I scam this guy? How can I defraud this person? How can I set up something where they can have to pay me out? Think about it. That's what you're doing. Oh, it wouldn't happen to me. Yeah, think that. Think that and watch what happens. Having lots of money is wonderful, but it's also a reason to be concerned. You have to worry about people wanting to sue you. Every time I'm driving, I'm always looking for people to whip out in front of me and slam their brakes on. Webcam, or not the webcam, dash cam. I've seen enough of these things to know that I have to be proactive about that. So I have one in the back and the front of my cars now. If that happens, I got the footage that says you didn't get rammed in by me. But unless I would have saw that happening on videos on X, I didn't think about it. I was like, it could happen, but the likelihood it probably won't. But then it started becoming a thing. I'm like, okay, I got to make some money moves. And that's a season in success. You start thinking differently because you have things that other people will want to take from you. And you think it's just, I want to learn how to buy when it's going to go up. That's infantile. Everybody, that's exactly what I wanted to do. All right, Larry. Let me see. Let me get the first video was boring to me. I'm fast forward. I'm looking. When's he gonna show charts? He's just standing there talking, like many of you listen to me and say, "Man, this guy talks too much." That's because you're a fool. You're a fool. You have no idea what you're looking for. You think you know what you're looking for. You think you would recognize it if it was placed in your hand, but you wouldn't. Just like I was, 20 years old and stupid. 20-year-old stupid. And when you go through things, and you make lots of money, and lose lots of money, and lose relationships, and you hurt your health while making lots and lots of money, you learn some things. And you end up becoming the person that you heard older speaking to you when you're younger about, well, life's going to do this and life's going to do that. And you listen to that from your grandparents. Maybe it's your father that's told you certain things, or your mother. And you're thinking to yourself, shut up, man. I ain't got time for you. That was your time. It's nothing to do with me. I'm going to be the exception until you're not. And earlier today, I was talking to my youngest, Caden. He he wants it faster because he doesn't like the discomfort of not knowing what he should know. And it's very difficult for me to overcome that for him because when he was born, they shot him with a vaccine that he didn't need, and it caused some changes in him. He doesn't think as sharply as he would have, and but his creativity is enormous. Like very, very bright. Not like he's not special needs at all, but he is definitely on what would be considered today the spectrum. Okay. If you listen to him, you talk to him, you would never get it. But as his dad, I see it. And this is very difficult for him. And sometimes he gets emotional and he just wants to just, scream because he's like, I want this to be easier because I want you to be proud of me. And I'm proud of you because you're trying. A lot of people won't stay trying while they're feeling what you're feeling because that's a season in success that most people don't want to go through. They don't want to go through those valleys. They want it easy. And when they find out walking through those valleys, it's a whole lot longer. It's a whole lot more longer shadows to walk in. The light ain't shining so deep in the valley. It's colder down there. The warmth of the sun ain't shining on you down there. And most people tap out. They quit. The fact that you're still trying, that makes me proud. That makes me very proud of you. The moment you stop trying, that's when I would no longer be proud. Nobody was there telling me I'm proud of you when I was going through the same things. Crying, weeping over these price charts, wishing I understood what was going on. And I was just trading commodities back then, not intraday, just daily charts. That's easy. That's nice and slow. You have a lot of time to plan. Here I am trading 15 and 5-second charts now. Just like that, making decisions. Making money moves. Hashtag making money moves, baby. Let's get it trending. Look at you. Take a step back and think about this right now. Here you are on a Saturday evening, listening to what the internet calls a verified fraud. On a Saturday when the market's not even trading, you're listening to a guy coach you for free. Think about that. That's commendable for you to be sitting here pursuing something that you believe in on a weekend night when most people are out getting drunk. Most people are going to wake up tomorrow and regret the decisions they're making right now. Right now. And I had an email sent to me, and it was quite long, and I was able to listen to it. I have text to voice, and I was listening to it, and it basically had a lot of the things I mentioned tonight and what they were wrestling with, and they just wanted to be encouraged. They wanted to be reminded that, hey, look, is this normal for me to feel like this? Sure it is. Absolutely is. And it would be abnormal for you not to observe it and feel it because you're in a loser cycle when you're numb to it. When you go numb and you don't care what happens and you're just out here just hurting yourself, putting on trades with real money or blowing prop firm accounts and just resetting them over and over and over again, running up bills. I've seen, not my students, but I've seen other people with $100,000 tallies of what they spent, and they've never had one payout. People can sit back and laugh at someone like that, but I see someone that is desperately trying to do something, and they believe that it's possible for them so much that they're willing to spend that much money. And all they need is someone to sit down and say, hey, look, you have more than enough tenacity to be a trader. You have more than enough. The fact that you're willing to spend that much pursuing something, you just need to have somebody help you calibrate what you're doing. Just a small little movement here. Get your bearings set in the right direction. Don't do some of these things. Spend more time doing these things. Just a subtle little bit of change and slow down a little bit. That's a trader. Because the losing money part, that's a deal breaker. That's a deal breaker. If there isn't any other one out there, it's that. If you're trying to learn how to trade, the first time you're baptized in the fires of loss, where it burns your money up, just like that, that's where the real decision making comes in. Because everybody wants to be a trader up until that moment. At that moment, now you're challenged. What do you have to go on? Well, I believed it was going to do this. I believed it was going to do that. And it didn't do those things, and it came back and stopped me. Okay. How's that have any bearing on the efficacy of your model or you as a trader? Here's how you answer that. By not rushing to go back in. But where do most people make the mistake? Rush back in, get it back, because that proves I'm a better trader than I am right now in my mind. Stillness is power. Being still, not taking another trade, is self-control. That is not weakness. That is not less than epic trader. It's exactly what you need to be. You need to be a management specialist. I see people asking to talk. I'm not going to have conversations with anybody tonight. I'm actually coming close to the end. The idea of rushing back in is one of the most toxic things you can do as a trader. But it feels the most natural. And that's a season in success. In the beginning, you feel that that's normal. You feel that that is exactly what you should be doing as a trader. When in fact, as a consistently profitable trader, someone that is following on logic and a model that's, well, consistent, they wouldn't think that way anymore. Whereas they can identify with the person that's brand new. When they encounter a loss, they want to quickly get it back in the beginning because they are not comfortable holding a net loss position overnight or for a week. To them, they think that's losing. That's a loser trader. When everybody's a losing trader. As soon as you put the trade on, you got to overcome the costs of what you just put on. The spread, the commissions, the fees, all those things have to be overcome. So everybody starts off with every single trade as a losing trade. You have to wrestle that trade into a win column. And just because you have a loss doesn't equate to you as being a bad trader, doesn't equate to you having a poor model or approach to trading. And what happens after that loss comes is in many minds as a trader that is consistently profitable is critical because everybody can look back and say, this is where I was at when I learned making rash decisions while in drawdown was the worst thing I could have done. So in the beginning, when you have a loss or if you enter into drawdown, the first reaction should be, I'm removing myself from risk. The rule is absolutely, I cannot hemorrhage. I cannot bleed out money. But nobody wants to do that because that means you're going to go home with a loss. That means you're going to go home with a negative in your statement, your trading panel, your stats. And you think that that somehow makes you unworthy to be a trader. And that's not true. That's your intrusive thoughts coming in. And you have not mastered your emotions. You have not mastered the trade psychology as a trader to identify and accept the fact that you as the operator, you're going to do it wrong sometimes. And you need to be giving yourself forgiveness. You have to allow these things to happen. And you're not going to avoid them. They're going to come. The only thing we can do as traders is prepare for the opportunity for when they do in fact come, versus other people that don't really plan for it. Everybody comes out the gate right away because they went through some mentor, they went through some book, they bought some course, they listened to somebody on the internet, they watch a live streamer. They're like, man, I'm going to make money because this person's the bomb. Okay, they're the one. And then you suffer a loss. And deep down inside, you want to punish that person or that thing, that book, that mentor, that school of thought. When none of that's true, it's you. Nothing outside of you made you press that button. Nobody but you chose that leverage you used. Nobody but you took that intrusive thought that jumped in your head and said, I'm ready to take on risk, when you weren't. In the beginning, you don't think this way. You block all those things out. The common sense will be tingling like spider senses, okay? I better not do this. And what do you say? Shut up. I'm going to make a lot of money today. And then you lose a lot of money that day. And you flood your mind with all of these irrational decisions, and you think speed now is how you're going to get it back. Make faster decisions, more trades. I took a loss. That the only way to fix that is take more trades, more leverage, more signals, more setups. I'm going to watch the smaller time frames. I'm going to look for every little fluctuation. I'm going to try to do this. I'm a scalper now. Maybe you're an intraday day trader where you're looking for the position in the morning and hold for the daily close until you now take a loss. Now you're ready to system hop. You're changing everything now. Are you thinking rationally? No. That is a season in success. Successful traders have had that happen to them where they wanted to leave their model. They wanted to leave their approach to trading because the discomfort of being in a state of unprofitable at the moment and waiting for your model and your trade psychology to be in sync. That means when you're no longer being dragged into the market where you have to do it because you can't stand being in your own skin. I have to do this. I can't stand that I'm down this much money. How would you feel if the surgeon that was going to be working on your child came in and visited you at the pre-op and said, hey, y'all doing? I just want to let you know I'm having a really bad day. My wife and I just went home, just yesterday. I found her in bed with another man, and I'm really high strung today. So I'm going to appreciate some patience on your part, and I'm going to do my best today. How confident are you going to leave your child in the hands of somebody like that? They're not thinking rationally. They're not thinking with your child's best interest. Now, is that going to happen? Probably never. Okay, but that's the equivalent of what you're doing. When you lose money and you're brand new and you have very little experience, you start thinking irrationally, and you think that that's normal while you're thinking it. So why would you let the surgeon who had that happen to them operate on your child? Because that's what you're doing to yourself. You're letting someone that with no experience being profitable, tell you that you should be taking more trades. And that's the intrusive side of you, that the undermining part of you. And it's going to come through your subconscious. And you're going to feel like you're getting an inkling. You're going to get a hunch. Oh, this is the thing that's going to work. I was wrong earlier. I can accept that, but this is the one that's really going to work, and I'm going to get all my money back on this one. No, you're not. You're going to lose. You're going to hemorrhage more money, and then you're going to speed up the process until you blow it. It happens all the time like that. Every time a tilt happens, it's just like that. It's never anything else. It's never anything else. And anybody that's honest will tell you, yep, that's very close to what I went through. Subtle nuances and differences here and there, but generally it's the same thing. Your mind goes into irrational thinking because your experience doesn't force you to stay into the sidelines and say, I'm not doing anything. I need to calm down. I need to remind myself that it's just money. It didn't blow my account. It doesn't change the efficacy of the model. It doesn't mean I'm a bad trader. It just means that I have to take ownership of what I did wrong, and I have to reevaluate what I did so I don't make that mistake again. And I got to go in with less leverage the next time. Well, that means it's going to take longer for me to get the money back, Michael. I'm not into that. That's not going to work for me. You're right. It's not going to work for you. And you won't be staying as a trader. The industry will find a way to remove you. Darwinism works in trading, but it's the only place it exists. It's the only place it exists, folks. Survival of the fittest. Only the strong. So, anyway, it's now 10:15. I'm going to close this one. Wish you all a very pleasant weekend. I'm going to upload. Well, it's actually uploaded. I just got to, make it active so you can see it on YouTube. For those that are staying up late, you can watch that. I don't know if I'll be touching base with you tomorrow, but I will certainly tickle your Twitter on Monday morning, Lord willing. Until I talk to you then, be safe.